Good. Good afternoon and welcome to Citi Business Plan Competition here at Institute for Veterans and Military Families. My name is Mirza Tihic. Welcome to the office hours. Today we will be talking about the economics of your business plan or economics of your business. As you already know, economics hours are here, office hours are to be really providing availability of my time to ask any questions related to economics in order to really participate and take full benefit of the office hours. We recommend that you watch the subject prior to this. So we have the recorded webinars. So you should have watched already the economics of your business plan, which is section 4 in the business plan guide. And just to give you a quick overview before we ask any questions, but if you have any questions, if you're watching on Google Plus or if you're watching on YouTube, please type those questions in the comment sections, and then Jim is going to share those questions with me. If you're available, please join us here live in the video chat. We have Rosemary with us, so she can also ask questions directly. Sort of typing them is sometimes easier, but whatever you prefer. So just quickly, quick overview of the economics. The economic section wants to go down in the core of your cost structure. Right, whatever products or services you sell, you want to figure out what are the costs of those products or services to make them or deliver them. So we delineate between those costs. We have the fixed cost and the variable cost. The fixed costs are all the costs that are related to your business and the products that are fixed on a monthly basis. So no matter if you have any sales or not, you have to cover those costs. And what are examples of those costs? These are typically your utilities, these are your employees, your insurance, internet, phone, all the bills, expenses that you get on a monthly basis and that are fixed. So these are fixed costs. No matter if I'm selling widgets, if I'm selling phones, no matter how many phones I sell, I have to pay my utilities. If I sell 0, I still have to pay my utilities. Or if I sell 100, my utilities will be still same. My rent will be the same every month approximately, right? So these are the fixed costs. And then the other costs that we call are the variable costs. Those are costs that are incurred with every item sold, each unit sold. So every time I'm selling this phone, I'm incurring a cost. So if I'm reselling the phone, right, my variable cost would be I'm buying this phone for 50 bucks and I'm selling it for 100. So my variable cost is 50 bucks. If I'm making this phone and I'm selling it, when I make it, I have to calculate all the components of this phone, right? And then I figure out, okay, I had to turn the machine on. I had to use the machine for like 15 minutes, and that cost me $3. I had to buy the glass, I have to buy the chips and all the stuff. In the end, to make this phone cost me 30 bucks, right? So that's my variable cost. So every time, and you don't use that cost in analysis, you only incur this cost when you sell the item. That's why it calls variable cost, because it varies. It varies based upon how many products or services you sell. If I'm offering consulting services, right, my variable cost would be what? Most probably would be printing materials, printing the presentation. If I'm doing flashy presentation, right, it would be most probably gas and lunch money I have to go to present and meet with the clients, either if I'm promoting or presenting to clients. So services typically have a less or lower variable cost than products, because products you have to make, you have to spend money on materials, and the cost of goods sold are much higher. So looking at that economic model, you have the fixed cost and the variable cost. You want to find out what are those. So once you know your fixed costs, you know what you have to make minimum each month in order to break even. And how do you figure out the break even? So if I'm selling this widget, if I'm selling this phone for $100, and I said my variable cost is let's say my variable cost, to make it more simple, my variable cost is $20. So I'm selling it for 100 and I'm buying for 20. So my contribution margin, my margin is $80, right? Because I have the cost. So how do you figure out you break even? You get the total fixed cost together. Let's say my office and everything else costs $4,000 a month. And now I divide that by my contribution margin. What is contribution margin? It's my selling price minus my variable costs. So selling price is 100 minus 20 is 80. So I divide 4,000 by 80, which is really I have to sell 50 widgets in order to break even. After I sell 50 widgets, every additional widget I sell, it's money in my pocket. How much do I get in my pocket? 100 minus 20, because I still have the variable cost each time I sell an item. So I'm making 80 bucks per item every time I sell it after I break even. So you really want to understand how much it will take you to break even. Figuring out how much you have to break even helps also with the marketing. Helps you also understand, okay, how am I doing each of the month? How many widgets did I sell? What did I do wrong? So it helps you also with analysis, but also helps you figure out, really, is this feasible? Can I really sell 50 phones each month? So that's something you want to use for analysis. Also, you want to show your investors, but also show yourself, how does it work? Is this feasible? Will I make money? And how much money can I make per each item sold? So that's really the economics. It's the differentiation between fixed cost, variable cost, the break-even point. Figure out how much you have to break even, and then also if you want to figure out how much will you break even in terms of paying back your startup costs. So what you do is, when you do this formula, the fixed cost divided by your contribution margin, what you do is fixed cost plus your startup cost, you combine it together and divide it by your contribution margin, and it will tell you how many items you have to sell, to make back your money that you invested and break even completely. Because sometimes you talk about break even, how much do I have to cover, how much do I have to sell each month to cover my fixed costs, versus breaking even, how much units do I have to sell in order to also return back all the money I also put in, the startup costs I put into my company. So that's in a nutshell how you use the economic model to help you as an analysis tool to move forward. This will tell you, is my price good or not? And you look at the economic model overall. You want to look at, so we talked about the fixed costs, right? So you know your cost structures, you know your revenue drivers for each one of them. Then you want to find out, okay, is my how's my margin? Are my margins good, right? Is 80 bucks really enough? And depending on your margins, it will impact your volumes. So if your margins are high margins, typically your volumes will be lower. If your margins are low, then your volumes have to be high, because right, if you have, if I said 4,000 needs, I have fixed cost of 4,000. So let's give you an example. If my variable cost becomes 50, now my margin is 50 as well. So 40 divided by 50, now I have to sell 80 more widgets. So now I have to increase my volumes. If I increase my volumes, I also have to increase my sales and marketing. Versus if I can decrease my variable costs and I make it, let's say, $10, right? So now my contribution margin is 90. 40 divided by 9 is how much? 40 by 9, 40, 43, 44, right? So now I'm breaking even lesser, so my volume will be less as well. Knowing your fixed and variable costs determines also, lets you know how you operate in leverages. And the higher your the fixed cost, so if your business is predominantly fixed cost, it has high operating leverage, meaning that you have higher risk. If you don't break even, right, your fixed costs, you're going to lose a lot of money. So if you don't break even, you're going to lose a lot because you have high fixed costs. However, if your business predominantly variable costs, it's less riskier, because the variable cost is the cost that you incur only when you sell. So you want to look at how can you make your business more variable cost. Or if it's high fixed cost, now you have to figure out, how can I make sure, what do I have to do in order to ensure that I can break even each month, at least break even and make money. Because you can make more money actually in the fixed cost structure. Once you break even, there's more money coming back to you because the variable cost is lower. So that's also how you use this to analyze, and it's also explained in the webinar that was recorded. So with that, I'll open up any questions. I hope I was able to give you. I don't have any visual aids and device to write for you to kind of walk you through it, but I use simple numbers to walk you through that. So I know, Rosemary, if you have any questions, or Jim, are there any questions on YouTube or Google Plus?
I do. I have a simple one. I'm selling the books, but I'm also selling the service of the veteran stories now. So do I use, and I work from home, so do I use my utility costs, my mortgage, the price I pay for mortgage, do I use all of that in my fixed cost, or is there a ratio? Like, do I take like 1/7 because say I have 7 rooms, like I
So,
would with an
so
accountant?
when you do your taxes,
Yeah.
and I might be wrong on this, don't take me by word. You should talk to your accountant. But when you do your taxes and you have your office in the house,
Mm,
they typically take the square footage of the office that you're using.
right.
So
Yeah.
if the square footage is 20% of your house, then you take 20% of your utilities. You
Okay.
can also pay yourself if you have an LLC, you can pay yourself rent there as well. These are all tax write-offs for your business.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he does that every year. So if
Yeah.
I could probably get
So,
that
so
figure and use that as a
yeah.
start.
So use those numbers and then include it in your fixed costs. And because you have two revenue drivers, this is a great reminder to tell you this, since you have two revenue drivers. Um, you still have the same fixed cost in your business. However, your revenue drivers will be different. You have different variable costs for each revenue driver. So let's say you're selling services and you're selling books. The services are 70% of your revenue driver of revenue, and books are 30% of your revenue. So what you have to do is in looking at a variable, you take the average.
Okay.
And how you do the weighted average. So you multiply your contribution margin by 0.70 for the services and your contribution margin for the books 0.30 or 30%. So you add them up together and then you divide your fixed cost by that, and it will tell you kind of how much you have to break even.
Okay. Got it.
But economics is more internally to understand, for you help understand what your cost structures are, and then to see, okay, is my pricing well good? If not, how much can I increase? And you'll get that information from market research. So how much is my customer willing and able to spend on my products or services? And once you know that, you want to figure out the range. We didn't talk about it in the marketing section, but typically when you do a survey, and usually you ask in the survey those questions such as how much will you be willing and able to pay for this product, and you give them range 99 cents to 2.99, $3 to 5.99, $6 to 9.99. So if somebody selects, let's say, $6 to 9.99, how much should you charge them?
Well, that's my problem here. Somebody in
No,
the
it's
seminar.
very simple. It's very simple. If you have majority of them saying, I'm willing and able to pay between 6 and 9.99, do
Yeah.
not charge them 6, charge them 9.99, because they said they're willing to pay between 6 and 9.99.
Right.
So charge them 9.99. Do not leave $3 on the table.
Right. It's
So what?
probably too a matter of finding the right customers because my my journalism organization was appalled at the amount that I was going to charge, and that was more than somebody suggested at the NatCon session that I was in.
Okay.
So it might have to be a per project thing, but I know most veterans aren't going to want to pay that, or their
So
families or their command.
here's my question. Did you talk to the veterans, your clients, or did you talk to somebody to advise you on how to use pricing structure?
Both. I spoke to the journalists, and I know
Okay.
that it's a very high level organization, and of course, when I work with them, I get paid a lot, but I don't know what this is. But when I spoke to veterans, it was just too high to come up with a an individual price for each time I wrote a book. So I was trying to come upon a package, one general package that will work for everybody. And then in that
Maybe
case, I
we
would have to
can.
do a break even, figure out what I would have to do at the end of the month in order to make money.
Maybe in that event you can create several different packages, different price ranges, and offer them. So I used to work at with Carrier, and Carrier has the Carrier brand and they have the Bryant brand. So if the Carrier brand AC is too expensive for you, then they have a lower quality Bryant that you can purchase. So same thing for you. You can have different packages. Package A contains A, B, C, D. Package B contains A, B, C, D, F, G. So if you look also some of the software companies, they provide to you like this matrix of package A, B, C, D, E, and then shows, checkoffs what you have. And of course, the best one that costs 1,000 has all these. So the
Mm.
same thing you can do and offer for your clients as well, that you identify all, 3 or 4 or 5 different packages and offer it and see what goes. But just make sure again in each one of them you make profit.
Mm.
And how most companies actually do for the extra added value, they go from 29 to 59, from 59 to 129, from 129 to 500. Even though there's not that much, but you're leveraging kind of, and your goal is to kind of get more of these people up in 129 and 500, because with maybe 10% added efforts, you're going to make much higher contribution margins. So that kind of offsets, gives you high margins, low volumes, versus the simple one gives you high volumes, small margins.
Yeah.
You have
Okay.
a healthy mix of both of them there.
Okay.
Hi Laurie, how you doing? I think Laurie is exercising. Cool. Do you have any questions for us, Laurie?
Laura, you're on mute. You gotta unmute
I know.
yourself.
Oh, there we go.
All right,
Okay.
now you
Okay,
can
there we
hear.
go. The question that I have is for the company that I have, we are working on a curriculum. We actually do face-to-face groups. These are adolescents that are charged with domestic violence against their parent or caregiver. And so I'm trying to look at how to expand, because I'm a for-profit working in a nonprofit world. So many of our customers are the parents. So we're offering parent coaching outside of the state of Florida. Also, we are offering the curriculum through the DJJ system.
What
And
is the
I'm trying to look
DJJ
at how
system?
we can, Department of Juvenile Justice.
Okay.
So trying to figure out how to bring in additional funding sources, or at least packet it to where we are offering something different or within the scope to bring in more funding, because based on the other sectors, meaning the nonprofits, it just depends on when they get funding coming in, if they pay for these courses or not. So it's limited on their budget. So I'm trying to figure out how to open that scope a little bit.
Have you worked with the nonprofits and helped them with their proposals?
Yes, they're a big. It's really the county government, the DJJ government. So they're the ones that are getting federal grants, and then I'm a contractor. So I'm trying to look at alternative funding outside of just if they receive funding or not.
Okay. Well, if they are receiving federal funding, who else is receiving similar funding?
Good point.
Right. If they're getting funded through federal and federal has a budget for that, who else is getting it? Maybe not the county you're in, maybe other counties. Maybe now you have to think about expanding regionally or nationally.
Yes, I'm looking into that and looking into doing those things and trying to even offer it like a pilot. But because of limited staff that they have and limited funds, they tend to just say no each and every time. So I'm trying to figure out how to go around it by looking at it from either offering the curriculum online for parents who would like to purchase it, or offering it through a different means to market it differently outside of the nonprofit world. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. That's more on your product design and development,
Okay.
and the market. So you have to
Okay.
do market research. Now we're talking more about economics of the business.
Okay.
But it's on you really to do more research, see how it works, who
Okay.
else is doing something similar, maybe another county or another state. And if nobody else is doing it, what is a similar service that's been already done? So look at their model, what they have done to enter the market, and kind of replicate it.
Okay.
I always
All
use
right.
this example of when we did this, we tried to sell Finland-style sauna to do-it-yourself retailers such as Home Depot, to
Right.
make it commodity, going from luxury to commodity. So when we looked at similar products, we found out that jacuzzi 10 years prior to that went from luxurious of being a commodity. So we used the same approach as them,
Okay.
went through the same channels, and kind of used the same numbers similar to them, because it was same industry, similar product, similar approach, trying to make commodity into a, trying to make luxurious item a commodity. So similarly
Gotcha.
for you, see who's doing something similar or same, and see how you can replicate it in your own. And
Okay.
if you see a problem with a lot of these non-for-profits, how can you, as a for-profit, solve that problem for them
Right.
as part of your service? That will help you also maybe lock in. If they get the grant now, you're locked in.
Yes.
You are certain you're gonna get it because you helped them write the grant or proposal.
Right. Gotcha.
All right.
Then I'm on the right page. Then I'm doing
Awesome.
that.
Awesome. Keep
Good.
doing it. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay. Good. Good.
Anytime. Let me get to Mara Hurwitz has a question. It says, my business would provide a set of pet-related services to companies as an employee perk. My revenue drivers are fees paid by employers and small commissions from pet service providers. Are they good models for that brokerage type of economic model? So you're going to sell it to employers, you're going to make fees. I'm sure there are. None come to my head right now. Mara, revenues, fees paid, employers, small commissions from pet. So she says, I'm trying to get a sense of what employers of different sizes would pay for that kind of service based on what they pay for other employees, employee perks like daycare, corporate fitness, memberships, on-site recreation facilities, and so on. I would recommend just calling the human services of each company. Says, look, I'm looking to, maybe apply to your corporation, potential employee. I heard about the daycare, what is the package, you can do some research. So it's really up to you to do research and see what works, what doesn't work, and you can categorize yourself those companies to see how much they pay. Is there any difference by number of employees they have or revenue drivers? Why did they make those? And you might find it's different. You don't even have to say that you're looking to get to work with them. You might offer them or the human resources, try to meet the human resource director and tell them, well, this is what I'm trying to do. He or she might give you additional insights in terms of will this work at the work. They might even help you do some survey within the organization of really how many employees have pets and how many would use it. So it's right inside information, but you have to sell the value to the human resource department that they understand really what you're doing, tell them your story, who you are. It's always important to tell who you are, try to connect them, see what similarities you have, right? This human dynamic, human interaction. And once you create a relationship, make sure to maintain that relationship, thank them for the assistance they have, and they might actually become one of your customers down the road once you start your business. I hope this was helpful, Mara. But it's the research you have to do yourself. I don't think you'll find that public information that readily out there. There might be some human resources, maybe specific journals that you can look in. You can call some trade associations that might give you insights into that information. I'm sure there are trends, but you wouldn't find it if you just Google it. I think it would be difficult to find it. So
I have a quick question. Is there a way that we can access the Syracuse University Library for research information?
unfortunately not. However, I don't know where you're located. If you go to any local university these days, they provide guest access. So you just go in and ask for a business librarian as a guest, and they'll be able to help you with that.
Okay.
Also, in terms of market research, I mentioned previously, go connect with your small business development center or women business center. They all have a state centralized library. For example, New York State has, I believe, 4 librarians working in the Central Small Business Development Center, and these librarians, per request from your counselor or business advisor, they'll do a full-fledged industry and market research for you and give you that research report. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get it, but it's well worth the time because it identifies numerous gaps that you can use and leverage to do differentiate yourself, but it gives you also all the trends and what's happening in the industry.
So what do you specifically ask for, I guess, is the question for when you're talking about your industry market research. What questions do you ask of them for them to research for you, I guess is the question. For me, it would be...
Usually asked to give you a full market research and industry analysis, so they give you that. You can then follow up based on
Industry
that to
analysis.
find out more.
Okay.
And remember the secondary research, which is public available information, is available to everybody. And you use that to kind
Correct.
of get a big picture, and based on the big picture, then you want to kind of dive in and deeper into the information by doing interviews, observations,
Okay.
if you have time to do focus groups, and then finally do the surveys. You want to do the
Gotcha.
surveys at the end, once you really know who your target customers are, and in the surveys you really want to measure how much people are willing and able to buy, how often they would buy, what are some of the features and attributes that they're looking for in buying a product. So that's once you know who really your target customers are. Because with industry analysis and market research, the secondary data that's publicly available, that gives you a big picture. So if I know I'm going to target students perfectly, then in interviews I'm going to find out really, are these students willing and able to buy my products, and if yes, who they are. So this will tell me, okay, you have to target only senior students at Ivy League school. Now once I know I'm targeting only senior students at Ivy League schools, now I can do a survey and I can go to Ivy League schools and just ask the seniors. I can go to library and ask them, can you fill out, are you senior? Yes, can you please fill out the survey? Collect 50 to 100 surveys in person, or you can do it online, which is if you have access to them, and collect that. So kind of working your way down like a funnel, and once you hit really your target customers, then you're gonna go do the survey and get specifics as much as you can. Do also focus groups with them. Of course, you can do interviews as well, but survey you're using at the end because the survey is anonymous. There's no, like, I don't have somebody. I'm not sitting in front of you or Rosemary. I can do it myself, and I'll be free to give you the right answer. So be honest with you in the survey versus in an interview. If you ask me, oh, you're an Ivy League student, well, what do you think about this and that? And now I'm putting myself in the position I'm an Ivy League student, and typically Ivy League students should respond this and that way. So there will be some bias in those interviews and focus groups versus survey. I'm alone in front of my monitor. Nobody even mentioned to me that I'm Ivy League student. I'm Mirza. So I'm doing it as myself and giving honest answers. Mara says, this is more a marketing question. Would it make sense to do some of these employee surveys with different employers and use the result without the company's name in presentation to potential clients, not only employers, but service providers? Yes, definitely do that. A lot of times when you write a business plan, I always recommend get testimonials from your potential customers and put them on a sidebar, or put them in footnotes, right? Quote, JH, initials from company, and feel free to say the company if they allow you to do it, if you think it will help. If not, JH said, I love this product, and as soon as it's out I was going to buy it, or something like that to give you more credibility to your products and services, and also credibility to you that you have done the research and that you know what your customers are willing and able to do in terms of getting it and buying it. Rosemary, you have a question?
Yes. Once again, with the veteran stories, no one's doing what I'm doing. They're doing oral histories, and the Library of Congress, for instance, has an oral history project. And there are different, say, Boy Scout troops and high school clubs that are interviewing veterans, but no one's writing it down in a book to hand to the veteran to save. So how do I find comps? I mean, my dream would be to find somebody else who's doing this and replicate it, but I'm only finding audio products and not written products. That, people say American Sniper, they want to write the book and put it out there in publication. This isn't for that. This is just using the self-publishing tools as a way to get it into print, to get it to the family, for instance, not for general publication. So how would I look for comps? I mean, I'm pretty good at researching, but I'm not finding any.
And comps, when you say, what do you mean comps?
I'm sorry, comparable companies that are doing.
Well, look at the audio and use those numbers, and then I have to be kind of creative on that. Okay, if 100 people use audio, then based on whatever research you find out, there's chances that 25% people who use audio would also do books. So you can survey them and see, okay, if this product was also available in a book, would you use it or not? And that will give you information of, okay, how many of them there are. And once you know who those people are, then you can go after, like, talking to them more depth.
Okay.
So find out who has been buying those audios and try to talk to them as much as you can and see if they're willing and able to do this, to do the books. So if you know that there's 1 million book audio sold and 10% are willing and able to do it, now you have 10,000, no, 100,000 people market.
Okay.
And now your job is going to be to find out who they are, the demographics and psychographics, where they're located, and then you have to develop marketing strategy to reach them.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you're asking all these questions, and feel free to ask them. I know market research is really fundamental research that you have to do. Everything that the quality of your business plan will depend on you understanding your industry and your market. Because if you understand the industry, what's happening in the industry, you understand the problems and opportunities, and then you understand your customers, then you'll be able to deliver what the customers are looking for. So you'll be able to create value. And once you know what the values they're looking for, then you'll know what operations you need to have in place to create it, what resource you have to have in place to deliver it, and sell it and deliver it, and all that will be then translated in financials. So it is fundamental. If you're not advanced with it, feel free to spend some extra time on the market section, market research. The more you understand your customers, the better you'll be prepared on developing the rest of your business plan. Are there any other questions, Rosemary and Lori? Well, Jim, are there any questions online? No other questions on the side. And actually, our time is already 12:33. So if there's no more questions, you have my email. Shoot me those questions. I'll try to respond in a timely manner, and then I'll look forward to see you on our next Hangout, which is, I believe, next week Monday at noon.
Mirza, it's actually Friday. This Friday,
This Friday.
we have session 5, creative and guerrilla marketing plan.
Okay. I don't have it in my calendar. It's no problem. I can do it. I just have to make sure I add it. All right. It's on my calendar now.
Thank you.
Thank you very
guys.
much.
Have a great rest of the day and have fun working in a business plan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Remember,
Thanks.
we're here for you if you need anything.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.